Don't stop.
Hi, thanks for joining me in the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randalls-Friedman. And before I get into my guest today, I wanted to talk about being accepted in your friendship circle and even outside of your friendship circle. So I have been much more social over the past several months. I am now working full-time on my podcast. I do not have a corporate job, which means I don't have to wake up at 7:45 every day and work until whenever, 6 o'clock or later or whatever. Like, I get to set my own schedule. My day is filled with scheduling interviews and interviewing guests and doing my news podcast every day and all the things that I enjoy doing. I wake up every day and I look forward to the day, and I'm not like rolling in my eyes and like, oh, I got to do this 15 Zoom meetings to talk about nothing. And it's very freeing. So I'm extremely happy where my life is right now. And being not on Zoom calls and not having to wake up at any certain time, I'm making myself be more social. So I've gone out. I go out every Thursday night is my thing to do. I go out to a dinner with friends, and then I go and meet friends, usually for a drink or two or five, or it just depends on the night. And that's what I do. And I'm really, really loving it. And as I am meeting new people, some people, like, I'm like, yes, these are the people, this person's going to be in my life for a long time, if not forever, like as a friend forever. Like, I have one friend who I'll give him a shout out. His name is Mark. Like, I think Mark will be in my life forever. And then there's other people, I think maybe they're just like, they're part of a chapter in my life. They're like part of a chapter, not a whole chapter. Like, they're there. But it's funny that I was in a social situation, not in Boston, a couple of weeks ago, and we went to happy hour. I was in New York, and we went to happy hour, and there was this guy that was sitting by himself. I seen him walk in. I thought he was just like a cute guy. He was young. I think he was 25. And I'm with, I don't know, 8 or 9 people for this happy hour thing. And we're just standing there. And I am the person in the group that doesn't give a fuck and just goes up and talks to people. And I don't know, that's just like, you never know. And it was New York also. So it's like easy to do that because people are most of the time receptive to whenever you walk up to them and say anything to them. And yeah, so I seen this guy, this kid, I'll call him because he was 25. And I walk up to him and he's sitting down. I'm like, are you here alone? He goes, oh, yeah, I'm kind of just waiting for friends. But I don't think he was. I think he was there like literally alone. I'm like, do you live here? He goes, yeah, I live here. I'm like, come and meet my friends over here. He goes, where? And I pointed to my group of friends, and we walked over. And we walked over, and this is what he says to me. He goes, do you see my freckles? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, sometimes people call me Freckles. I'm like, but what's your name? No, I asked him, what's your name, by the way? I think he said his name was Maddie. I said, okay. He goes, but do you see my freckles? I go, yeah. He goes, well, sometimes people call me Freckles. I'm like, okay, Maddie. Like, I'm not calling you Freckles. I mean, if you want me to, I will, but like, that's stupid because you have some freckles in your nose. Like, you want me to call you Freckles? But whatever name you want me to call you, I'll call you. And I almost immediately knew when we were walking to my friends, like, and he said his name was Freckles. Like, I regretted going up and talking to this guy. He's like, I'm a twink with freckles. I'm like, oh my God, like, you are trying too much. And all the people that I were with were 35 and up. So nobody was in their 20s. And I was just like shocked that this guy was making everybody feel uncomfortable by just being himself because he was trying so hard. And I have to say, like, I know that not everyone is for everybody and you don't have to love everybody. And I was just trying to be nice because I seen the guy sitting by himself, but I almost I'm like, okay, now I see why you were singing by yourself because, and I wanted to tell him like, when somebody comes up to you and talk to like, you don't have to like put on this show. Like, my name is Freckles and I'm a twink. We've seen that you were a twink. We see that you have freckles. Just say your name is Maddie and be normal. And maybe that's just like an age thing where you just got to feel more confident. And maybe he just felt nervous about some strange person coming up to him and talking to him and bringing him into a group of 8 or 9 gay men. But I don't know, it was uncomfortable. None of my friends were into him. Luckily, I had a dinner that was happening 15 minutes later, and I had to leave because I had to walk a few blocks to the dinner. And so I left Freckles with my friends. And let me tell you, the next day I got some text about it. Like, I can't believe that you left Freckles with us because, yeah, thanks for doing that because we were not into him. He talked to our friend Ryan for like 20 minutes, and Ryan was just sitting there like, what's happening? Ryan's probably 40 or 42 or something. And Ryan's like, yeah, this guy is just trying too hard. And he didn't want to be mean and reject him. But yeah, I don't know. Freckles, if you're listening to this, I probably didn't tell you about my podcast. But if you are a listener, Freckles, just go with your name, Maddie. Don't call yourself Freckles. And just be yourself. Because I think you would have been a nice guy. Like, you're a cute guy. Like, you would have been nice. And I think my friends would have liked you. And they go to happy hour once a week. And you probably could have been invited into the group. But I don't think they want Freckles. I think they wanted Maddie. But anyway, that's my little rant today, or my little talk today. Now let's talk about my guest. So my guest is going to medical school. He is also an author, and he's written this book. His name is Isaac, and we had a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Buy his book, and his book is about New York City, which is what I was just talking about, and yeah, he was a good interview and a great guy. So enjoy my interview, and I will be back tomorrow with more interviews and more of me. Thanks for listening. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me on the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I have a brand new guest. He is an author of a book. He has a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. So welcome to the show, Isaac Grijalva. Thanks for being on today and to talk about your latest book. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. So this is also Isaac's first podcast, which I feel very honored to be the first person that he comes on and talks with. So, Isaac, you wrote a book, and it's called 6.5 Days in the City.
Yes.
And it sounds like, from what I've kind of seen, is it something that actually happened to you, the whole story, or is it all fiction?
It's all fictional. It's just, it was inspired by the vacation. So I was on vacation as I was kind of like conjuring this up. And the 2 best friend characters, they are based off of my 2 best friends.
Okay.
The places that they go are some of my favorite places in New York City, but like the events and how things end up, like that's totally fictional.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you want to write the book, though? Like, what kind of inspired you to write this story? Were you on a vacation in New York and then you thought of it, or were you somewhere else and you just like, oh, I'm going to write this book?
Yeah, I was on vacation in New York City. And inspiration for books have always just come at like the most random times. And I was already kind of like in a writing slump. And I love books where it's kind of just like, road trippy vacation kind of vibe. So I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do that myself. And one of my friends made a joke that she was saying that, because I've been known to be promiscuous, and so she made a joke about my promiscuity while I'm on vacation. And I was like, that would be really funny if that was something that was like set in the book and kind of started a catalyst for that. And so I was like, I'm going to include that. That's actually really funny. And then the story kind of just built from there.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. So you came out, so you are actually bisexual in real life, right?
Yes.
And was it, so I asked you before we started the podcast what your background is, and you're Native American and then Mexican American, is that correct?
Correct.
And so How was it when you, or did I should ask, did you tell your family? And if you did tell your family, what was their, were they okay with it?
Yeah, I came out when I was 17 years old. I did
Oh, good for
not,
you.
I did not like stand up and like tell everybody. I came out to my brother first. I wrote it on a little like notes app and I showed it to him, and then I
Okay.
posted it on Facebook. Kind of like this big wind around, and like I don't know. I looking back, I'm like, oh, I embellished it so much. Like I could have just come out and said it, but I was 17 and I was so
Yeah.
nervous, and I had made it to be some big thing and that I was afraid to do. But everybody was very positive and very affirming. And my mother is bisexual herself, so I'm not sure why it was so. I don't know. It was
Okay,
like
you shouldn't
a
have
big
been.
leap. Yeah, but they're very, I guess, they're very supportive and loving.
Okay, so your brother is fine with it. Your whole family's fine with it.
Yeah,
Um, so I know there's a lot of kind of things and just kind of on social media, excuse me, and in the news right now, just about people that are bisexual. Um, there was a article that came out like maybe a month ago. I don't know if you've seen it, where they're like, I don't know who wrote it. I can't. I'm blanking on. It was somebody kind of famous, I think, or somebody made a statement, but they don't believe that people are bisexual. Did you see, do you remember seeing anything about that? That they like they're like either you're gay or you're straight.
I've seen that a bunch of times, but there's always discourse on the internet. So of course, I've seen a lot of things like that. Um, it's always just very silly.
And what do you think when you see that? I mean,
It's very silly.
yeah,
It used to really bother me when I was younger because it was, I wouldn't say an insecurity, but I always felt like I had to defend myself and prove like, yes, I'm bisexual. Like, yes, I
yeah,
still like women. And now that I've gotten older, I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Like,
yeah.
whatever.
Do you have a preference between a man and a woman, or it just depends on whatever?
No.
Okay, cool.
It's I think it really just depends on the person, which is I've been told is a very bisexual thing to say.
Yeah, or pansexual kind of
Yeah.
almost. I mean, like I don't know. There's so many different sexualities now, so I can't keep up with them because there's new ones all the time. So,
Yeah. Pansexuality, I like it's valid and like I understand it. It's just I like the label bisexual more and I feel like that's a lot more easy to tell people. Really my
yeah,
sexuality is very fluid, but if we're rooting it in something, it's I would say bisexual.
cool. I wish that this story about you wrote that was kind of about your life, because the book sounds amazing. Just about how uh, you kind of went on a trip with your friends, and I don't want to give it away, the whole story of the book, but you go on a way to New York City with the trip, and then you end up. It sounds like on a hookup app, right? Or there's some type of something hooking up that you're
Yeah,
doing, and
yeah.
then you get in trouble for that. Um, so your friend says you're promiscuous whenever you go away on vacation.
Yeah.
So is that true?
There is truth to that, yeah. When I went back in April, I was a lot
Okay.
more. I hooked up with a lot more people. This last time, I was a very good boy. I was actually trying to be on my best behavior. Just because
Okay.
my friends themselves were going to be leaving New York City, and I wanted to. That was my last chance to see them in the city and have fun with them in the city. So it was more focused on what we were doing together as friends.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
But when you're on vacation, you got to, and you're single, you can be a
yeah,
little slutty sometimes.
yeah.
I think it's
Exactly.
acceptable. So why not? You got to do it now. Because if you don't do it
Yeah.
now, then what are you going to do it? So, um, do you live actually in California now?
I do. Yeah. So the character and I do have some similarities. We were both born and raised in San Jose and moved to Merced as teenagers. I gave him some of that background of mine. We're both pursuing medicine and we both work in EMS. I'm an EMT, so I
Okay.
have like the basic job, and then the character is a paramedic, so he has the more advanced commanding the scenes, etc. Um, and
Okay.
we're both like we both want to be doctors. And the reason that I wanted to highlight that part particularly is because I have so many friends in undergrad and just people that I've met who gave up on becoming a doctor because life got in the way and they had to do all kinds of other things behind scenes and all this and that. And I really wanted to showcase like you absolutely can still pursue that dream. There are other like
Mhm.
ways to do it. Like you can do a post-bac program, you can retake your classes. Like they understand that life happens as long as you stick to it and they've seen that you are dedicated and that you want this. they're gonna be very happy that you're back on that path.
Cool. And one of the things that the book does talk about a little bit of trauma, like it kind of showed up when he got back. So, can you talk about that a little bit? Just like, has trauma ever showed up in your life, kind of like
Oh,
unannounced?
absolutely. I think the very first time that I actually went to New York City, I was in the middle of shoot, what park was it in Brooklyn? It was some park out there, Prospect Park, I
Prospect
believe.
Park.
There you go. That's the one.
Yep.
I was over there. It was Memorial Day, and I was, seeing all the families do their barbecuing, and it was so nice, and I was having a wonderful time. And then my mother called me, and a lot of my trauma has involved my mom. We're good now, and we're building a relationship now. But growing up, it was very neglectful and abusive. And
Mm,
so in that phone call, it seemed that she was back to like her old ways and making a lot of excuses for herself and not going in the right direction. And it kind of just like brought me back to like being a child, essentially, scared of the
yeah.
future and not knowing what's going to go on with my mom, etc. And I had almost like, I don't want to say a breakdown, but I almost had like a full on like panic attack in the middle of the park. So that
Yeah.
was a very like real thing for me. And those feelings that I exhibited, I kind of put into the book. Not exactly the same triggers, but just those feelings of
Yeah.
like helplessness, despair, like something's about to go wrong when really like everything's everything's fine. But you're back in that like fight or flight survival mode.
So it sounds like it kind of maybe helped influence the book, like just kind of
Yes.
some of your experience that you actually had in your life. That makes it, yeah, that probably makes it a little bit more real when people are reading it, just to know that you've kind of experienced similar things.
Yeah.
Whenever I was growing up, coming out, bisexual, gay, whatever, was hard. Like, it was something that you wouldn't necessarily do. So, what about your self discovery process? Did you kind of, at 17, that's probably a good age to come out or
Yeah.
to kind of discover yourself. But what do you think that it was still difficult to kind of figure out who you were? Like, how did you discover who you really were?
Um, I always knew that I was different growing up as a little kid. I think we all do as being queer. I kind of took notice just like of everybody and I didn't wasn't
Yeah,
really like ashamed of that. And then once I started like expressing certain interests or like saying certain things about boys, there were certain people in my life, like my grandmother, my grandparents. They're they don't hate me for being queer. It's just that it's not something that they'll bring up willingly, and they'd rather not talk about it. My
yeah,
dad's parents. My mom's mom though is super supportive and like she asked me all the time like any boyfriend, any girlfriend, etc. But growing up, it was mostly those two who were kind of like trying to push me away from complimenting men or saying like things about boys being like good looking or liking certain things about
yeah,
boys, etc. Trying to avoid things that are like feminine. Like I was a huge fan of like High School Musical and Camp Rock and all that growing up. But to them, that was like me embracing some feminine side that they did not want me to be a part of. So I think from a young age, I was kind of just conditioned by them to not go to that. So
okay,
like I knew that I was into boys from a young age and I accepted that I was into boys at like 11 or 12 years old. I didn't really have the label for it though at the time. And then getting to know more queer people and people being out like in like publicly out and having boys having boyfriends and girls having girlfriends, etc. I think I finally was in a place that I was like, you know what, yeah. Like I think I can do that as well. And of course, growing up, my mother would have, a girlfriend here and there. So like
okay,
I knew that it was possible and that it wasn't some like super shameful, like wrong thing to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. Tell me what you think about like the whole hookup culture today. I feel so. I'm in a relationship, monogamous, but I have a lot of friends. They're all on every app you can think of:
Yeah.
Grindr, Tinder, Sniffies. I don't know. There's a million of them.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on? I kind of want to do a whole podcast show episode on just the apps because I know they're so addictive, and you're always looking, and tell me what if this is true for you. Like, so I have friends that I will go on vacation with, or I'm just out with. Like last weekend, I went out with friends, and they were on their apps, and we were in a bar, and I'm like, "There's 200 guys in here you could be talking to and meeting. Why are you on your app?" And they're like, "Oh, just
Yeah.
to see like if there's." It was almost like to see if there's something better. I'm like, "There's so many hot guys in this bar. Like, why are you not just on like talk to somebody in person?" And they're like, "Yeah, but then I'll just see who's here, and like who's like within 50 feet away or whatever." I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so crazy to me because I just don't get the whole app thing. And then I have another friend that like uses the app to like literally hook up several times a week with a different guy. Um, and he also has apps where he'll meet people, and I feel like he falls in love in like the second date. Like he's like, "I'm in love." I found I'm like that quick. Like he wants love so bad, but I feel like people put so much effort into the apps, like they don't really like give love a chance. Like, what is your thoughts on the whole app thing, and where are you with it?
Um, I will just say, I think there is some, I think, comfortability in being detached from like a face-to-face thing because
Yeah,
I think there can be a lot of pressure and it can be really nerve-wracking to meet a complete stranger in person or to go to somebody who like you don't even know if you're going to be rejected, etc. Like on the app you can just be ignored or they'll block you, etc. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But like in person and having that, I think like in-person rejection can hurt a little bit more.
okay.
I'm used to it because I've had it, and that's I've always taken rejection like very like okay, cool, next, like moving on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I think that's probably part of it for some people. But I also think that people have just gotten used to it, especially because there's so much of it that it's like very normal and like it's become the new norm. Like they'd rather be on the screen than in person. And it's fine to have the fun, because I have the fun myself. Like I'm not one to be like, oh, you can't do that, or it's so shameful.
yeah,
But like I think if as long as people are being honest and open about their communication and what their intentions are, I think that's when it gets, because when you're not, I think that's when it becomes like a little more unethical, like you're wasting people's time saying you want this when really you don't. And if
yeah.
you're just there and you're like, hey, I'm here to have sex with strangers and that's all I want, and you get two people who are on the same page, I think that's when it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's all fine, but I just kind of just don't get it whenever, like, again, we were standing there with, there's probably 200, 250 people in the bar, and there were so many good looking people in the bar. And like, it's like, what are you not getting here? And I guess it makes sense to me when you're saying like, you don't want to walk up to somebody and then be rejected in person. But I don't know. Like, I feel like if you just walk up to somebody, you just, maybe because I'm not ever looking for somebody to hook up with since I'm in a relationship. Maybe it's like a different. I don't have any, like if I walk up to somebody and talk to them, and I'm just because I'm going up to them just as a friend or
Yeah.
just to like say hello, or because I thought they were interesting. So maybe there's no pressure, because if they're like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk to any of you," I'm like, "All right, well, fuck off then." Like that's kind of how I feel like I do
Yeah.
it, like, because like I don't, it doesn't hurt me because I'm not looking for anything more from you. So
Yeah.
um, when you and your friends are out though, are they all on apps as well?
Um, the two that I saw in New York, they're actually together, so they're off the apps and they're not looking for anything else. But I do have a lot of friends that are on the apps, and I've made quite a lot of friends on the apps as well. Actually, the other day, me and one of my good friends were talking, and he and I actually met on Hinge. But
Okay.
we are just friends, and we've become very close. So like we're like a best friend. We're best friends now. And we were saying like
Yeah.
how a lot of the connections and a lot of like the new friends that I've made in the last year, almost all of them have been off a dating app, and we've slept with each other at least once. And I was like, oh, he's like, oh, you're so right. And I was like, that's crazy. And I think just because I've been
Yeah.
so consumed by like work and being in school, like it's hard to, like, obviously I'm not gonna sleep with people who I work with because that can get messy. But
Yes. Yeah.
And then also like when you have time off, like you'd want to hang out with them, but then they could be picking up an extra shift. They could be doing things on their own, like running errands, going out of town to see their families. Like I think because I work in healthcare, so when you work in healthcare, on your days off, you're playing catch up. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
doing all the things that you can't do when you're working because you're working 8 to 12 hour shifts. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
damn, you know?
Do you have any other books kind of you're thinking about doing after this one?
Yeah, I'm actually working on another one currently. It's another like family reconciliation. This one's more centered around like grief though, and kind of like at the fourth proximity because there's three brothers who have the same two parents and they have a younger sister who has a different mother. And that's always kind of been a point of contention for the oldest because he feels like the father moved on too quickly and, you know, disrespecting the mom's legacy, etc. And he's never talked to his dad about this because he doesn't feel like he can. So they
Yeah.
all are watching an aunt's house and their, tensions building up and they're trying to process their grief because their mother's death anniversary is coming up around the corner. It's been 22 years now and they are trying to reconcile themselves because the oldest has always felt like the odd one out because the oldest himself is also bisexual and the
Okay.
brothers have always kind of not made him like they're not like hateful like oh like you know we don't like you because you're bisexual but
Yeah.
they have always kind of made it a point of a joke kind of like oh like he's a whore like he's greedy like stuff like that and then it's just there's wedges that they've never really addressed and so the book is about them kind of trying to like get over that trying
Okay.
to come together because they're also watching their sister because the parents were like oh have fun with her
Yeah.
and so they're kind of trying to be together for their sister trying to reconcile do what they're there for their aunt and it's kind of like it has a lot of moving pieces but it's really at the end of the day it's like how did we get to not being able to be in the same room together and how do we move forward from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
When do you think it will come out? Like, what's your date that you're looking to
Oh, I don't
try to
know.
have a deadline?
I would love
Okay.
for it to be at least starting. I would love to start the like PR for it at least by the end of the
Yeah.
year to have like a finished
Okay,
product to
cool.
actually be like, okay, here, like this is coming out soon. It's just that I'm in school right now, so I'm back in pre-med, so it's like I'm trying to like balance all that. So on the
Yeah.
off times that I have, like yes, I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Isaac's book is called 6.5 Days in the City. I will put a link to it in the description of this podcast or video or however you're listening or watching this. And you can go out, you can buy it. And then we'll let them know also whenever you come out with your next book towards the end of the
Yeah,
year. Come back on. We can talk about that one and do some promotion for that as well.
yeah, I would love that.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on, Isaac. And if anybody has any questions, where can they find you at? Are you on social media? Do you have an Instagram that they can
Yeah,
follow
I
you on?
have Instagram. I'm Isaac Grijalva Books, and then Facebook is the same thing. And then TikTok is also like my personal TikTok, so it's like it's Isaac Taylor's version 99 because I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll put all those links also in the description so people can come and check it out. And are you doing any of the trends on TikTok? Are you doing any of the dances or anything that people can check out, or you're just
No dances. It's just it's really just me trying to. I usually just talk to the camera about whatever, and I just try to promote the book as much as possible. I try to have fun on the app too because I don't want to just try to like sell people something all the time. So
yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being on 6.5 Days in the City. Check out Isaac's book. Go buy it, support him, and then send him a message on Instagram and tell him how much you love it. So thanks for being on, Isaac. I appreciate it.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks.